Pioneers of Hope in Kenya, growing a healthy church in Serbia, and a center of influence called The Door in Germany. All this and much more from the front lines of mission coming up next. Hello and welcome to Mission 360. I'm Gary Krause. Today's program is coming to you from Leipzig, Germany. And on today's program, as always, we're going to take you to various parts of the world to see mission in action. We're going to visit an urban center of influence right here in Leipzig. But first up, Pioneers of Hope in Kenya.
Kenya. On October 22, 1906, pioneer missionaries Arthur A. Carscallen and Peter Nyambo left England to begin work in Kenya. At that time, it was an unentered territory known as British East Africa. A Canadian, Carscallen was educated at Union College in the United States. His longing to serve took him to Britain. After only a few years, he was chosen by the newly formed British Union to go as a missionary to Africa. The Union also chose to send Peter Nyambo, originally from Malawi. Peter had been studying in England at Duncombe Hall College, later to become Newbold College. Peter had become a Christian in Malawi and learned of the Sabbath through his own Bible study. He later became a Seventh-day Adventist. The Carscallen-Nyambo team arrived in Kundu Bay on Lake Victoria on November 27, 1906, and quickly began work among the Lua people. In just over a year, the pair reported that they had established a small mission station at nearby Glendia Hill. Soon other missionaries began to arrive to assist with the work at Glendia Mission. Peter Nyambo moved back to Malawi. On May 21, 1911, the first 10 Lua believers were baptized. God has blessed his work in Kenya. Thank you to these pioneer missionaries who looked beyond their own horizons to unreached territories. And thanks to those Kenyans who also answered the call to mission. Today, there are more than 1 million Seventh-day Adventists in Kenya, worshiping in more than 10,000 churches and companies. 1 in 49 people is a Seventh-day Adventist. To those pioneer missionaries, we say, Asante Sana.
My guest is Carsten, who is the founder, one of the founders of a center of influence here in Leipzig. Carsten, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Before we talk about this center, can you describe the community here in Leipzig that you are living in?
Well, we live in a big town, a big city with quite a big population in the state of Saxony. So this is the economic center point, but also what is very peculiar about this area is that due to the long communist past that we have here, that we have about 24% Christians only, and the rest is said to be from other religions or atheists, but as far as our experience goes, the majority of them should be atheists, so there is very little knowledge of Christianity here.
So basically you're looking at a population of 70% of people at least who don't believe in God.
In a way, yes.
Yeah. So when you look then about how to be a Christian in an environment like that, most of these people, if you invited them into church, they would not be interested whatsoever.
Yes, that's quite correct. If this would be a church, they just wouldn't come because they think this is nothing that has something to do with my life. That has nothing to do with me or with what I want to do, and so they really wouldn't come.
They may even have some negative feelings about the church.
That might be true.
Yeah. So the name of this center where we're standing now is Die Tür in German, which means the door. Why did you name it the door?
Well, we named it the door because, of course, in one part, because Christ said, "I am the door."
Yes.
But also that we felt that the door is the entry point of a building, and when you get into a door, into our door, you should know that you are welcomed. And it doesn't make play any role who you are or what you are. You can just come and you're welcomed here, and you can also always find someone who wants to talk to you or talk with you or listen to what you have, and so you're just it's just a place for where you're welcomed and can relax.
So this is a center, is a beautiful location on the corner of a busy street, and it's embedded in a community with apartments around. What do you do in the center?
Well, basically, we have some spots in the week where there are groups that meet here. They do some different things. There is a group where parents with young children meet to talk about what young parents with children talk about and the specific problems they have to deal with. And of course, they also get their children to play with one each other. We have a breakfast meeting where people just come in and eat something together for breakfast and talk. Of course, talking is the most important thing which is going on here. We have 2 creativity groups, one regularly on Wednesdays, and on Wednesdays too we have the Café International, where people from other cultures, specifically refugees, for example, from Ukraine or from Syria or wherever, could just come and gather together with us and other German people. So these are a few ideas what's going on here. But basically, the most important thing always is for us to get into contact, into touch with people, and to get a talk with them, and they can share their lives and experiences. We can share ours, and of course, for short or long, you'll see that that some people also come and lay their problems on the table and say, okay, maybe I have this problem here, or I need some help there. And this is also the thing this community is for, that you can get an idea who or what maybe can help you. This includes almost every time, of course, you can have a prayer. You can have counsel, but it's also very practical. You can get advice, for example, when you don't know to which institutions here in Germany you could go. If you need some professional help, we can tell them where they have to go. We can help them with filling out any forms. Of course, we have some clothing here to give to people who are refugees. And a lot of other stuff, just practical, plain practical help. Wonderful.
Can you tell me the story of somebody whose life has been touched in this center?
Oh yeah, there was a young woman who first, quite a lot of years ago, came here for a few times at first, and by that time she was I think part of this Gothic scene, but then she went away and we didn't think much of it, but a few years later she returned. By that time she had become Christian, also got married and had 2 young kids, but she had still a load of problems, health problems and problems with her kids who were very lively, to say, What she found here was a place that would help her to stabilize her life, to get more stability, to get kind of backing for going through her life and to growing. And this was, for example, one typical story. We see people very often moving in and coming to us for a time, then going other ways because they move out of Leipzig or because their job doesn't permit them coming anymore, or whatever reasons. But during that time, they are here. We want to help them to come into contact with us, see what Christian living is like, and also make connections with God, hopefully, but also just have a place where they can feel accepted as a person, whoever they are.
Wonderful. Carsten, thank you so much for sharing with us today. And viewers at home, this is what a Centre of Influence is all about. It's a connection point to the community where we can listen to our neighbours, when we can hear what their needs are, where we can show sympathy, we can help meet their needs, and we can show them the love of Jesus. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to Leipzig. Behind me you can see a monument to the Battle of Leipzig, or the Battle of the Nations as it's also known, and it commemorates the 1813 battle that took place here between the Napoleon's forces and other Allied forces of Europe. And it was the bloodiest and largest battle of the Napoleonic Wars, and some 100,000 soldiers were killed. It's a reminder of the bad choices that humans make and the fact that war seems to always be with us, and the pain that it must cause the Prince of Peace.
I'm here in England, and with me is Max Mackenzie Cook, who is the Community Services Director for the South England Conference, but you have another role that we're going to talk a little bit about today. What is that role?
That's right. I am one of the lead champions for I Am Urban, which is a function of ADRA UK.
So I Am Urban, it has something to do with cities, does it?
Yes, and urban areas. Urban areas consist of not just cities, but other densely populated areas, towns, and even some villages as well, where there is a congregation of people that experience certain living conditions, certain environments which are unique, especially with sprawl, urbanization, and all other functions that create pulling people together.
So where did I Am Urban come from?
So we recognized, coming out of a UN report which was published in 2019, that by 2050 70% of the global population would live in urban centres. Now ADRA UK, being an international development agency who look after the sustainability development goals as part of their task to try and help develop other areas, were thinking, how could we support our churches here in the UK? One of the ways in which we considered to do that was to focus on this growth in urbanization and empower our churches, resource our churches to be able to minister to the people who would be in those areas.
So what kind of challenges do people face in urban areas?
So it's a paradox. Urban centres create a coming together of people based on a number of factors. You bring people together because of immigration. When they come to certain countries, urban centres provide a sense of security. There are where the jobs are, you've got more housing, you've got better transportation links, but with that you get a certain level of deprivation. You also get higher levels of crime. And so there is a break in community, and we felt that this was a perfect opportunity for our church to showcase what hope looks like, tangible, felt needs in urban centres, and what that could mean for the communities that they lived in.
So The needs in the urban communities are not just with immigrants though, are they? Because during the time of COVID, it seems like everything has shifted.
COVID was a massive challenge, and I'm really proud of what the I Am project did during that time, because as you know, we were planning for our usual projects, but as COVID came, we had to rethink everything. And the I Am Urban project really came into the fore. We secured funding, we trained up our hubs, we have 73 of them and we're growing even more of them, and we provided stability in a time when there was increase in food insecurity. We also aided mental health and well-being, and also helped stem some of the growing inequalities that were being exacerbated because of COVID.
Sure. Now, do you have a story you can share of how I Am Urban has maybe impacted somebody's life?
So absolutely, we've got a couple of projects, one in Enfield and Edmonton, which really came into the forefront. They built close partnerships with local vendors and other local businesses in order to provide food and provide support for their local community members. Additionally, we've got another place in Willesden, which is called the Centre of Help and Hope, which continuously provided educational support, food bank support, clothing, as well for the area of Brent. And the people really came together. It wasn't just the fact that we were providing food and clothing, but we built friendships with the people within their communities. We've built long-term relationships, and they actually know that there are churches who exist within their communities. We're not invisible, we're very visible. And now that they look to those churches as centers of hope, real hope, and we find that really helpful.
Now, I think in some areas people recognize poverty readily, but there are places in the world where it's, I think, sometimes harder. It's less visible, but it's still there.
Yeah.
And I think I love that you guys are recognizing that and doing something about that. Now, if somebody wanted to get involved or help out in some way, what could they do? What advice would you give them?
If you go onto ADRA's website, adra.org.uk, and go to the I Am Urban link, there will be information there that could send you resources, information of where your local hub may be, and we could either help you set up your own hub or connect you with an existing one, depending on what your needs may be. We would love to hear from you, and so we really look forward to that.
So if somebody wanted to actually get involved with an existing hub, what types of things do you look for?
We just look for a willing heart and a willing spirit. We want people to really get involved. If you contact one of our hubs, they will resource you, they will train you, they'll give you everything that you need to fulfill your role within that little community. We just want people who love to help others and want to give their time. So that's the only thing that is given in terms of a requirement.
I love that, a willing heart. You know, if you've got a willing heart, we can use you. That's fantastic. Max, thank you very much. It's been wonderful talking with you. I wish you God's blessing on I Am Urban. And I think we'll be hearing more about this in the future. At least I hope so.
Thank you.
And to those of you who are watching, please pray for the different opportunities that you're seeing on here. If you have an opportunity to get involved, please do. And now we'll go back to Gary.
Behind me is the Thomas Kirche, the Thomas Church, and it's been here for many hundreds of years, and in 1539 Martin Luther preached there. It's been associated with many great composers such as Felix Mendelssohn and Johann Sebastian Bach, whose remains are still housed in that church. Well, next up we travel to Serbia and learn about growing a healthy church.
Adventists in Serbia have made meaningful connections with people through healthy activities. Health clubs have drawn a lot of interest from the community. Groups go hiking, exercise together, hold health lectures, and conduct cooking demonstrations. If not for these activities, it's likely that the participants might never meet an Adventist or be exposed to the Adventist message.
Here it's important to actually build the friendship first, and then you can say who you are. Otherwise, they will reject you from the start.
Personal connection is how Jesus ministered when he was on earth. So these church members are following his lead by implementing Christ's method of ministry. This is the key to building relationships, especially in the growing cities like Belgrade, where people tend to stay focused on their own busy lives.
This is a community that lives in big buildings, so there are a lot of skyscrapers here that has a lot of people there. It's a very, very big area to actually outreach to. There are a lot of people who actually lives here and don't know anything about God. They are not that religious. People don't want to actually learn and search for God because we live in that kind of society now that no one wants to know about God. So it's hard to actually talk about with people who doesn't know or who don't even want to know about God. So that's a challenge here, and it is a secular country.
Just a few years ago, the area known as Novi Belgrade had no Adventist church. Anytime church members who lived in this part of the city wanted to gather, they had to travel far to get to the nearest church. In 2020, a portion of your 13th Sabbath offering helped establish a church in Novi Belgrade. They were able to get a space with 2 levels and are in the process of renovating the lower level to be an urban center of influence.
It means a lot to us because we have our own services. We can invite friends. The facility is very good, and we are very grateful to God that it has 2 levels. The upper one, where we are now, where the services are held, and the lower part, which is convenient for various activities.
So this is going to be a center of influence. We are going to have the health clubs here, and we are going to teach people how to cook healthy food and maybe some kind of crafts as well, because there are a lot of people here that likes crafts, like making soaps from the healthy ingredients, as well as decoupage and quilling as well.
Your contributions to the 13th Sabbath offering have already been received with gratitude. The new space feels like home to this congregation, and hopefully it will allow them to grow.
I am very grateful to those that helped us, all the brothers and sisters from all over the world, because this is a big municipality where we are and where our church was not. Believe that we have prayed for over 20 years. We have prayed to have this church, and that's why we are also ready to give our offerings to those who also need to have their own church. I have so much gratitude. Thank you.
Well, I'm grateful to God that He gave those people will to actually give, and that He inspired them to give. And that actually tells us that we have to work and to justify what we've got, and that we have to actually pray for God to actually use us where we are and to fill this building so that we have to find another one.
Please pray for this church as they soon open an urban center of influence in a new part of Belgrade. Thank you for giving to the 13th Sabbath offering in 2020 and making this congregation's dream become reality.
There is nothing in this world that can truly satisfy me like Jesus' love. For His love is truly deeper, truly purer, truly sweeter than anything I've Jesus' love. Only Jesus, Jesus' love.
Well, thank you for joining me today on Mission 360 from Leipzig, Germany. And I hope that you've been challenged and also inspired by what you've seen and heard. We've seen frontline mission in various parts of the world, and we've also seen some remarkable mission challenges that still face us. And I want to thank you so much for everything that you do to support mission, through your prayers that do make a difference, through your financial support with your donations to Global Mission, and also for your personal involvement. Well, for Adventist Mission, I'm Gary Krause, and I hope that you can join me next time right here on Mission 360.